Pontius Pilate was a member of the equestrian order and fifth prefect of the Roman province of Judea between the years 26 and 36 AD. The canonical Gospels present Pilate as the executive responsible for the torture and crucifixion of Jesus Christ, this being one of the few episodes in which he is mentioned. Pilate was also known by Jewish authors such as Philo and Flavius Josephus, and Roman authors such as Tacitus and epigraphic archaeological testimony. Welcome, dear and distinguished listener. Join us on this fascinating journey through history, and let's discover together what the horrible death of Pontius Pilate was like. Before delving into this topic, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell so that YouTube notifies you every time we publish a new video. Let's get started. In the historical setting of the 1st century AD, in the midst of the splendor and expansion of the Roman Empire, a character emerges who would leave an indelible mark on history, and his name is Pontius Pilate. Neither Julius Caesar, nor Augustus, nor Nero. The figure of the Roman Empire most evoked in history is that of Pontius Pilate. Pontius Pilate is believed to have come from the Samnium region of central Italy, but some legends claim that Scotland was the land of his birth. Normally, no one remembers the name of any provincial governor of ancient Rome. Although this is not the case of Pontius Pilate, governor of Judea, who has gone down in history for being the man who signed the death sentence of Jesus of Nazareth. Little could this governor of Judea imagine that he would be remembered for that process. Nor that the gesture of washing one's hands that Matthew recounts in his gospel to express that Jesus was unjustly condemned would forever associate his memory with that of a person who seeks to relieve himself of responsibility. Pilate has become a traditional symbol of vileness and submission to the base interests of politics. Now, Pilate belonged to the equestrian order and was the 5th governor of the Roman province of Judea between the years 26 AD and 36 AD. Although Pontius Pilate is the governor of Judea about whom we have the most information, not much is known about his life before holding the position, which he gained thanks to the influence of his friend Lucius Aelius Sejanus, a trusted man of the Emperor Tiberius. Pilate would serve as the 5th Roman procurator for 10 years, and upon assuming office, he succeeded Valerius Gratus. With his rank of power in society, he had the power of a supreme judge, which meant he held the exclusive authority to order the execution of a criminal. His duties as prefect also included such mundane tasks as collecting taxes and managing construction projects. But perhaps his most crucial responsibility was to maintain law and order, something he tried to do by all means as if his life depended on it. Pilate was protected by Lucius Aelius Sejanus, a favorite of the Emperor Tiberius. Pilate ended up earning the enmity of the Jews in Roman-occupied Palestine by insulting their religious sensibilities on multiple occasions, such as when he hung images of worship of the emperor throughout Jerusalem and had coins minted with pagan religious symbols. Now, as a historical figure, we find evidence of the existence of Pilate in some coins minted with his name, as well as in an inscription at the base of what could have been a statue of him discovered in the ruins of the Roman theater in the city of Caesarea Maritima, at that time one of the most important cities in Judea, which was founded by Herod the Great between the years 25 and 13 BC. Likewise, there are several literary sources in which reference is made to the governor. These include the texts of the Jewish philosopher Philo of Alexandria, the Jewish historian Flavius Josephus, and the stories of the 4 evangelists of the New Testament. The Jewish philosopher Philo describes Pilate as an inflexible, stubborn, and cruel man. According to the historian, when he became governor of Judea, Pilate allowed the legions stationed there to place mobile shields in the city of Jerusalem with inscriptions, signa, that honored the emperor, at that time, Tiberius. The Jews saw this as a provocation and a violation of their law. Quickly, a Jewish delegation appeared before Pilate in the amphitheater of the city of Caesarea, threatening to organize a revolt if he did not put an end to such an outrage. Then the Sanhedrin appealed to the Emperor Tiberius himself, since by virtue of the agreements they had reached with Rome, Jewish law had to be respected in the city of Jerusalem. As Philo continues, Tiberius responded to Pilate by rebuking him 1,000 times for his latest daring, and telling him to immediately remove the shields and have them carried from the capital to the city of Caesarea. Although that would not be the only altercation involving the governor. It is also said that Pilate had an aqueduct built from the treasury of the Temple of Jerusalem, for which he requested funds from the Sanhedrin under the threat of increasing taxes if they were not delivered. The priests initially refused, arguing that it was sacred money, although they finally accepted under the condition that it would not be made public, and that the water would also reach the temple tanks. But when the agreement came to light, anger among the population was widespread, and massive demonstrations took place in the streets. To quell them, Pilate sent disguised soldiers who killed many of those who protested. Now, Pilate's most ignominious action was his investigation of accusations made by the Jewish chief priests and elders that Jesus was proclaiming himself king. Upon hearing that Jesus' mission was to bear witness to the truth, Pilate realized that the prisoner posed no threat to Rome. "What is truth?" he asked, probably thinking that truth was a concept so difficult to pin down that it was not worth devoting much attention to it. What conclusion did he reach? "I find no fault in him." The trial of Jesus should have concluded right there, but the Jews insisted that he subverted the people. It was envy that had motivated the chief priests to hand Jesus over, and Pilate knew it. He also knew that if he released Jesus, he would cause problems, which he wanted to avoid. He had had enough of Barabbas and other prisoners accused of sedition and murder. Furthermore, the clashes he had previously had with the Jews had tarnished his reputation with Tiberius, whose severity towards bad governors was notorious. On the other hand, giving in to the demands of the Jews would be a sign of weakness, so Pilate was in a dilemma. Upon learning of Jesus' origin, Pilate tried to transfer the responsibility to Herod Antipas, ruler of the district of Galilee, but his stratagem failed. Then he presented Jesus to the crowd that was gathered outside the palace in the hope that they would ask for his release, according to the custom of releasing a prisoner on the occasion of the Passover. However, the crowd clamored for Barabbas to be released. Pilate may have wanted to do the right thing, but he also wanted to keep his position and please the people. Ultimately, he put his career before conscience and justice. He asked for water, washed his hands, and declared himself innocent of the death he had just approved. Despite being convinced of Jesus' innocence, he had him flogged and let the soldiers mock him, beat him, and spit on him. Pilate made one last attempt to free Jesus, but the crowd shouted that if he did so, he was no friend of Caesar. At that, he gave up and gave in. This act has become a symbol of his moral ambiguity in the matter. The Gospel of St. Mark shows us Pilate as a weak man, nothing compared to the image that the historians Philo and Josephus offer us. After the insistence of the people, Pilate finally issued the sentence that led to the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Jesus was crucified on Golgotha, outside of Jerusalem, thus fulfilling the mission for which he came to this earth. Now, after his appearance on the biblical scene, history tells us that Pilate, true to his character, carried out two brutal actions. One was the death of some Galileans who were offering sacrifices in the temple, and the other took place in the year 36 AD, when he violently repressed a group of Samaritans who had gathered on Mount Gerizim in northern Israel. Pilate, believing that they were preparing an insurrection, sent a group of legionaries to put an end to them. The outrage over such acts of brutality reached such an extreme that a Jewish delegation requested an audience with Tiberius himself so that the emperor could take action on the matter. Finally, Tiberius, in order to guarantee tranquility in those fractious lands, decided to dismiss Pilate. He returned to Rome with the hope that after the death of the emperor, who was already an old man, he could count on the support of his successor. However, Caligula maintained the decision made by Tiberius and sent him into exile in Gaul, where, according to the apocryphal text, Mors Pilati, Pontius Pilate would end up committing suicide shortly after his arrival. Pilate may have been stubborn, petulant, and cruel. However, he served 10 years, while the tenure of most of the prefects of Judea was of much shorter duration. This means that for the Romans, he was a competent ruler. There are those who have branded him a coward for his reprehensible decision to have Jesus tortured and killed to protect himself. Others maintain that their duty was not so much to uphold justice as to promote peace and Roman interests. Pilate's time differs greatly from ours. Still, no judge can justly convict a man he considers innocent. Had it not been for his encounter with Jesus, Pontius Pilate would surely be just another name in the history books. As we have seen, the character has various readings, evil and cruel, or weak and compassionate, depending on the sources. In fact, the set of apocryphal texts that emerged after the death of Jesus extolled the figure of Pontius Pilate to such an extent that in some places, such as Ethiopia, he is even considered a saint, and a festival is celebrated in his honor on the 25th June of each year. But surely what the truth is about the most famous Roman governor in history will probably remain an enigma. And so we are reaching the end of this video. Thank you very much for being part of this humble wisdom channel. God bless you greatly. And without further ado, now I say goodbye, and it will be with me until the next video.